And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com, www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Go to the app and get yourself a delivery of the Galactic goodness right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop. Or go down to Dayton, Kentucky, tell them to pump it up, save yourself 15% off of your order. All right, Aaron, it is Wednesday night. Wednesday night here on this show means we are taking a look ahead at what the Big 12 is going to give us this week. And starts off Friday night, Cincinnati BYU. We'll touch on that at length more tomorrow night, but I'm just curious, is your feeling on this game starting to shift as we get a little bit closer? Is your feeling still about the same? Like, before we get into things tomorrow night and Three Keys, like, where are you at late in the week, essentially, as the game is 48 hours away from when we hit record on this bad boy?
I think I was higher on Cincinnati going into this game than most people, even before this week.
Yeah, I think the thing everybody was factoring in, short week, altitude. Like, I think those are the two things that everybody's looking at and saying that's going to be, even if Cincinnati's a better team, that's going to be hard to overcome.
I understand that. And especially after having watched what this defense did against Oklahoma, knowing that this team has to be foaming at the mouth to get a win now after two losses at home. You have a beatable BYU team.
And they played well. I think the thing that is clicking through my mind, they played pretty well on the road at Pitt. Like, this wasn't a team that looked overwhelmed in their first real road game.
Well, outside of the red zone, this offense has played pretty well. Outside of the fact that they lost the last two games, this defense has played really well over the course of the entire season. So I understand that you're going to have elevation. Satterfield has talked about the fact that depth is an issue, but you're going to find out what this team is made of top to bottom in Provo.
Yeah. So I think the interesting thing to me, and we'll get into this tomorrow night again, how much do they rotate, especially early? How much in that first half are they looking to stay fresh in the second half, and does it cost them? Like, do they get caught, maybe in an offensive line series where they're rotating a couple guys, or do they get caught, rotating DBs or whatever?
I don't want
the altitude.
I don't want to make any of the points because the depth is probably going to have something to do with one of my key points.
Right.
But
all right, no, interesting enough, no early game Saturday. Now this is we're gonna get 2 weeks in a row, Aaron, of football Saturdays, because next week's a bye week for the Bearcats.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get 2 weeks in a row of football Saturdays. No noon games.
Well, and next week lines up even better, as you do have staggered noon 4-8.
Yeah. So no noon games, so you can sleep in, or if you've got, I know a lot of people like to get the chores that they haven't backed up, their weekend chores as you get into football season. Maybe you can get some of that done early before you settle in for some Big 12 action. But the 3:30 game, the first 3:30 game, the main 3:30 game, for me, Aaron, is maybe the most interesting game of the Big 12 schedule all season. Because I don't think there are many teams that can beat Texas in this conference.
Okay.
I think we know, Oklahoma, Texas is, going to be appointment television.
Sure.
Kansas State, Texas is going to be kind of appointment television. I know, Kansas State isn't ranked right now, but I think that's going to be a game that a lot of people point to. But Kansas, because they're so unorthodox, Like, because Lance Leopold's offense is not something you see with regularity. It's not the option, but I think it's kind of akin to the option, and that you're not prepping for it regularly. Kansas has played well. Both teams are 4-0. Texas probably right now is feeling real good about themselves. And guess what, Aaron? A whole big storyline on this whole like Texas not being back thing are head scratching losses to Kansas. Head scratching. What the fuck just happened? Losses to Kansas over the past couple years. This fascinates me because for whatever reason, Kansas has given Texas fits. Even when Kansas was disaster Kansas. Even when Kansas was not good Kansas. Now you have good Kansas with a chance to derail what looks like a clear path to the college football playoff for Texas. This one, to me, is fascinating.
Well, Texas has their big win this season is against Alabama. So obviously that's a big win.
We don't know how good Alabama is.
Even if Alabama's on a down year, that roster, I talked about it with Oklahoma, that roster is littered with 5 stars. Now, I mean, you can say 4 stars, but I think there's probably more 5 stars than 4 stars.
Oklahoma's roster is littered with 4 and 5 stars. Alabama's roster is littered with 5 stars. Yeah.
Right. So huge marquee win there. But, I mean, if you look at the actual stats themselves, and granted, Kansas's big win is against Missouri State, Illinois, Nevada, and BYU. So not a marquee win.
Well, and really, other than Missouri State, I mean, they beat Illinois 34-23. They beat Nevada 31-24. They pulled away from BYU a little bit late, 38-27, but that was a close game pretty much throughout. They have Oklahoma State on their schedule down the stretch. They play home against Kansas State late in the season, but this is the one they have circled. This is the game Kansas has circled.
Kansas has a very balanced offense, averaging 245 passing yards, averaging 217 rushing yards for 463 yards a game. Jalen Daniels is back, and he's looking like the guy that we expected him to look like prior to the season.
Devin Neal has been outstanding, the running back.
Yeah. Both teams are – Kansas allows 296.8 yards. Texas allows 298.5 yards. But Texas Quinn Ewers can sling the rock. I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. I am shocked at the line.
It's heavily favoring Texas. Vegas is in firm belief that Texas is back, as Texas is favored 16.5. ESPN's FPI is giving Kansas a very small chance to win this game at 6.5%, which is really bad. So all of this is really lining up for everyone to throw their money on Texas, and Vegas to just take a whole bunch of money when Kansas beats Texas, and Texas is no longer back. I think that would be fun.
I mean, it would be hilarious. And it would be absolutely hilarious if it was Kansas. Right? Like, if it was Kansas.
I'm
sure part of it, Texas beat the brakes off of them last year, 55-14.
I know where
Jalen Daniels was out.
That's a huge factor.
So 2021, 57-56 Kansas. 2019, so they didn't play in 2020. 2019, 50-48 Texas. And then in 2016, 24-21 Kansas. There was a blowout in 17, 42-27. It was a one-score game in 2018, 24-17. So, I mean, there's really outside of last year and, a 2-score game in 2017, this thing has been close. This series between the two of them. I think it's close. I don't think Kansas wins. I think it's fairly close.
I think at the very least, I'd be surprised if Kansas doesn't cover.
16.5 is a huge number
for two ranked teams playing each other. Kansas comes in at 24 in the country, and Texas, of course, is at 3. I don't know. I'm not touching this game, but I'll probably have it on. I'll probably have it on TV on Saturday. So,
yeah, this is one I plan on, depending on what the kid decides that my schedule looks like. This is one I plan on keeping an eye on closely. ABC Saturday at 3:30.
Yep.
Fox Sports 2 at 3:30. Whoa. Houston, Texas Tech. Houston 2-2. Texas Tech 1-3. Both of them winless in their Big 12 openers. Texas Tech an 8.5-point favorite. Oh, by the way, the Texas Kansas over under 61. It's a big number, but I'd probably go over with both of those offenses.
I agree.
The line in Houston, Texas Tech is 51. Who knows? I wouldn't touch this one.
Yeah, Houston. I don't look for Houston to get their first win against Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech will get that win. I think that 8.5. I don't know.
I just don't know that Texas Tech is good enough to beat Houston by 2 scores, essentially.
I don't know that Houston is good enough to keep up with Texas Tech, if I'm all things being honest.
Yeah.
I don't think
Houston's resume is just as brutal as Houston's, though.
I don't think Houston's any good, though. That all said, I don't even know that I'll be flipping back and forth between this game and the Texas game.
I don't know that I have FS2.
Well, let's hope that Cincinnati doesn't end up on FS2 at any point in time. Then
it's coming eventually. Like, everybody's gonna get it. But FS1 3:30. So this your third 3:30 game. This one's at least a tad interesting. UCF at home hosting Baylor. The over-under is 55.5. UCF is favored by 12.5. I think I would take the Knights and give the points right now. Baylor's defense has just been atrocious, and UCF can score points.
Yeah, this one, obviously, UCF is heavily favored, and Baylor's looked terrible. Dave Aranda's got to figure something out, or he is for sure looking at the hot seat. But I don't know. It is in the bounce house, so UCF has that going for them. I don't know if Plumlee's back yet or not. But even if not,
I don't think so. I think they were talking at least a month or so on him. So if he is, I'd be surprised. I think, you should be able to handle Baylor with
Timmy McLean's looked pretty good thus far. I don't know that I take 12.5 for UCF. As again,
I think I would give it. I think I would lean towards giving it.
Dave Aranda is fighting for his job, but
his defense is so bad, Aaron.
His whole team is so bad.
I know, but he's so. I focus on that because he's supposed to be a defense first coach.
If that line moves on the other side of 14, for sure, don't touch it.
Yeah, 12.5. I think I like Baylor or UCF. I mean, I think
I don't even know if it goes past on the other side of 13. I don't know that I'm taking it, but
that's fair. But I think UCF gets this win. Iowa State, Oklahoma. We know the Iowa State defense is good. This one is in Norman. Oklahoma favored by 20. I think this is we know Iowa State can't score. So the over-under at 48.5 is reflective of that, especially with how good Oklahoma's defense is. I don't know.
I think go
ahead.
I think Oklahoma's going to go back to the tape and wonder what the hell happened against Cincinnati, and it's going to be a get-right game for their offense, and they're just going to go bananas.
I don't think that's easy. Like Iowa State, they can't score. They're so bad on offense, but their defense is very, very good. Very good. And I don't know that Dylan Gabriel can just go out against a good defense and dominate.
Well, they gave up 27 to a terrible Oklahoma State team. Iowa State did last week. Terrible. And I tell you what, I'd probably still take Dylan Gabriel over Tanner Mordecai. So just saying.
I think I would too. I don't say many nice things about Dylan Gabriel, but I would take him over Tanner Mordecai.
Just saying.
I love that. West Virginia, TCU, close it out 8 p.m. on ESPN2. West Virginia, maybe the surprise of the Big 12.
There's not a maybe. I don't think there's a maybe. I think they are the surprise, period.
Yeah, they were picked last. They beat Pitt. Pitt sucks. They also managed to, it was at Texas Tech last week. Yeah. They got Texas Tech last week, right? I think that's right.
Yes.
20-13. Neil Brown fighting to save his job. As Dave pointed out on the BCJ pod tonight, TCU has looked good since the stinker against Colorado.
Give me West Virginia in this game. I'm
At
riding the hot. Hey, look, Colorado went in against TCU, and then Colorado got the break speed off of them. Granted, without their best player on both offense and defense.
Yeah,
that was a smart move.
Game one, I think TCU just thought Colorado won one game last year. We're going to beat the brakes off of them, and it didn't.
Yeah, well, I think that TCU probably still thinks they're better than West Virginia. Are going to prepare about the same as they did against Colorado. I don't think that they have figured it out yet. I don't think
you're not a Sonny Dykes guy.
I don't know. Hell no. And I don't think that I don't think that TCU's good this year. I think everything was the quarterback last year. His name evades me right now. But yeah, I don't. Horned Frogs are, I think, going to be on a down year this year, especially compared to where they ended up last year. And give me West Virginia. Even at 12.5 points, it doesn't seem like a huge line there. ESPN's FPI gives them 22.6 to West Virginia to win this game, which obviously a little bit better than some of the other spreads that we've seen. So, yeah, give me West Virginia. I think they're figuring it out, and I think that they are the surprise.
I think my read is TCU wins but doesn't cover. I mean, they didn't they beat Houston 36-13, but it wasn't a bloodbath by any stretch. They only beat SMU 34-17. I think West Virginia is definitely better than SMU at this point. So I'm not going to be as bold as to say I think West Virginia wins outright, but I think TCU wins, West Virginia covers. I wouldn't touch the over-under.
West Virginia has only put up 20 in the win against Texas Tech, 17 in the win against Pitt, but
52 feels a little lofty.
Oh, I'm not. I'm going under. I think they're gonna. I don't think they're going over that 52 spread, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a boring-ass game to watch. If you're into offense, but I think
there should be better things to watch at 8:00 Saturday night.
West Virginia is going to get it done. Give me the Mountaineers.
All right, there you go. That's going to wrap it up. Thanks to everybody for tuning in to our weekly Big 12 preview. This is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.